It's a Republican-led recall campaign gaining steam against California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom.
And it's not just Republicans putting their names down.
That's cleared more than 2 million signatures.
I have a lot of friends who literally have left California.
But listen, I get that there are even some Democrats who signed the recall petition, but some of the leaders of this movement are on the extreme.
It's the people that are behind this are members of the Three Percenters, the right-wing militia group. The Proud Boys supported the insurrection, are folks that quite literally, enthusiastically support QAnon. Conspiracies, and so that's the origin here. Now, as it relates to the people that signed this petition, it just takes 1/4 of people that supported Donald Trump to put a petition on the ballot, or rather a recall.
You have QAnon posts on the Recall Newsom Facebook page. That does not look good for your efforts.
This recall organization started outside of the California Republican Party, and these were Californians that have been fed up with what has happened here. They've been people that have lost their jobs and had to go onto food lines for the first time in their lives because of this governor's unresponsible regulations that he's put on our state. They're people that have lost their jobs. They're people that would like to worship with their communities. And there's 2.1 million people that have signed this petition. I think it's an insult to pigeonhole any of us as extremists or conspiracy theorists. This is a grassroots movement, many people of all political stripes. And I think that when you make an argument like that, you just sound desperate. And it's pretty clear to me that this governor has gotten to the point where he's desperate.
Here it is. Going. Starting. That was quick.
39 LLC, BGB Ranch. This is your 5-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Oren Heatley and Mater G. Mike Netter.
Well, good evening, California and beyond. Welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, our show where the cuisine's always about California politics and the main entree, the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. Tonight I'm not with quite as many people as I had last week. We've got Angela Marston in studio, Kent Emmons, the fabulous Eric Early, Oren is calling in, certainly. But before I even let anybody else talk, Oren, I've got to start by setting the menu tonight by frying up somebody that really got me ticked off. And if you know I'm normally fired up, I'm especially fired up tonight.
Oh.
Especially fired up tonight. I would like to know where in the fill it in the blank, because I can't say it in the air, does Elizabeth Warren, a Massachusetts senator who's lied about her heritage, get off on going on NBC in the Olympics and not only trying to put this together with voter fraud, which is ridiculous because we're trying to get people to vote, but actually has the, whatever you want to call it, again, I've got to be careful here because I'm extremely mad, seriously, goes on the air and says, we, the recall people, have abused the recall system. First off, hopefully soon to be ex-Senator Warren, I've got news for you. We, the people of California, have our rights. We have our own state. And it's really about time, one, that the National Democratic Party stop trying to get involved in California politics, question number one, and quit lying about the people in the recall. It's we, the people, doing it, not the National Republican Party. And I've also got another major question. NBC, where do you get off putting, I know they paid big money for these ads, but where do you get off putting these ads on in the Olympics, which is supposed to bring the world together? And how come, I may ask then, do we deserve equal time in the recall? No, because we can't afford it. But here's really my biggest question of all. I'm a little confused, Gavin Newsom. How come you can't do your own commercials? Not only will you not face the people of California live, you have to have Elizabeth Warren go in these commercials on the Olympics for you to talk about saving your posterior. You don't even have the guts not only to face the people, but get on your own commercials. You have to have a senator from Massachusetts get on the air and lie for you. At least get up there and lie to the public yourself, which leads me into the next subject.
Mike, you're cracking me up here, man.
I'm sorry. I'm really
This is Eric speaking. I'm sitting about 2 feet away from Mike here. Oh, my God. Man, I got like a pound of saliva on me over here now, Mike.
Well, you know what?
Man.
This leads to I'm seriously. I know I don't normally start with a
I'm going to come out and say, Elizabeth Warren, keep your nose where it belongs. This is a matter between the people of California and their governor, and you have no business meddling in our business here in California. This is not a national Republican movement. This is not a national Democratic movement. This is between the people of California and their governor, and you have no business here.
And Amen. Wait 1 second. Oren, I want to ask him a question first, because this is a really big week. We have a lot to cover on this show.
You're pointing to me, bro?
No, I'm just pointing in general.
Okay.
To you, and
they can't see that finger in radio.
Remember, we are on a podcast. I almost didn't wear a tie.
You talking to me?
Because I'm Steven.
Ain't no one else here.
Oren, how come Gavin Newsom doesn't have the guts to go to the debate that we're going to Wednesday?
Unbelievable.
Mike, can I jump in on the thing with Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Elizabeth Warren for a minute. She's a gift from heaven. Seriously.
I agree with Kent on that, by the way.
Think about this.
You mean heaven sent her back?
Well, I wouldn't say heaven, by the way.
Well, no.
She's a
for
gift
us,
from somewhere.
She is a gift from the gods. Now, think about this. The folks in California, first of all, she has carries no weight with the people who will be deciding this election. You know, the people that are far left, that would even think who would even think that homelessness is normal and high taxes are normal and crime is normal. No, those folks are so far left. She's not going to. I mean, what's she going to do?
Yeah, let me.
The people in the middle. The people in the middle are not going to.
Nobody gives a damn about Elizabeth Warren in this state. You think she's going to get votes for that incompetent, arrogant punk up there in Sacramento? I don't see her doing much of a favor.
She has no credibility.
I understand that. What really ticks me off, as much as Elizabeth Warren ranting and raving, is NBC. I want you to really think about this. If NBC is willing during the Olympics to put this ranting, lying lunatic up, then because they've got money to pay, it's about the infrastructure, I get it, then they should give us some equal time for free the people of California. Go ahead, Angela.
Well, I have a little humble take, because my mom used to tell me, especially when dating, look at the guy's friends. Birds of a feather flock together. And if you're going to lie and lie and lie, you want the best liar you can get, right? So, hey, she makes what? She's worth $12 million, and her own state didn't even vote for her when she was running for president. I mean,
well, that's what I mean. She's the best spokesperson they could have picked. She's great for us, because people are going to look at her and they're going to go, Jesus. If she's for Gavin Newsom, I'm sure.
Right.
Go ahead, Oren. I gotta. Only second to Gavin Newsom himself.
Yeah, that's another thing.
You're right, Oren.
You're right.
I need to get you in my rant, because fortunately my co-hosts are kind of keeping me in check here tonight. And you would see that if you're watching, by the way, we do stream this live on Facebook. If you want to see the steam coming out of my ears, do tune in to one of our Facebook channels and watch this. But the other thing I didn't bring up, which I just find absolutely amazing that anybody in California is even buying into, and I've got to get this blast off. Again, 33% of Californians live on or near the edge of poverty. Gavin Newsom is worth $15 million and lives in a $5 million mansion surrounded by armed guards traveling in a car. He's being defended by Elizabeth Warren, to your point, who's worth about $12 million, writing books, who's a professor. I mean, and yet they
millions in book
supposedly
deals.
are
Millions in book deals.
Yes,
millions.
are supposedly defending the people of California who are broke because of Gavin's policy. Oren, I'm going to roll to you.
So, Angela, you're saying that Gavin Newsom didn't get his vast wealth all from the sales of his Plump Jack Pruno.
Yes, exactly.
If anybody has ever worked in or around the jail, you would know that Pruno is the nasty crap that they make in their cells by fermenting the fruit from their breakfast bowls or ketchup or sugar.
Well, I have an idea,
and they just
Warren.
ferment that and drink it, and that is what the Pruno is. So Plump Jack Pruno must be pretty profitable.
Well, I actually think that if Elizabeth Warren's so worried about the state of California, she should buy a house in Venice Beach and live right there off the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that she's really invested, right?
Actually, we should put her up there for a weekend. Why don't we do that?
That would be great.
In terms of what you said before, Angela, about signing up birds of a feather, I've been getting emails from the greatest liar of the last half century, my former opponent named Adam Schiff, and he's working on the Newsom team now, and there is no more talented liar in America than that piece of garbage.
Well,
and
I
he's,
don't
of
know.
course,
I
on the
think it's a
Newsom
close
team.
second. I've got to say,
Eric,
I
I'm
talked to
with
one of
you
your
on that.
supporters there. Look, it's just amazing. Before we roll to our first break here, and we'll get back to everybody, including callers who we have calling in. It just amazes me. I am floored by how much, and this has gone beyond anything we've even seen in recent years. And I watched that NBC ad with you for the first time.
Yes,
Right,
you
right?
did. I watched you get nuts right in front of me there, Mike.
The reality is, out and out get there at the Olympics on national TV, say, and make this about national politics and out and out lie how we've misused a legal process is so over the top that I think NBC ought to be canceling those ads. And I'm with you, Kent. There's only 6 people that watch the Olympics, and I'm not watching tonight, so that's 5. But the reality
Typically,
is,
NBC's only got 4 people watching,
Yeah,
so
we have
it
4
upped their
people,
ratings
right?
by 50%.
here's the story. It is time for the people of California everywhere. This is not the liberals versus the conservatives.
No,
this
it's
has
not.
literally become the haves versus have-nots, the rich versus the poor. And we're going to talk after our break here about what we did today, that we announced a strike back again with Erica Lee's help. That's another event taking place Wednesday in addition. Stay tuned, stay there, get ready to roll, hold back the kids, hide the pets, because I'm going to do it. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, all the way from the international border on up to Oregon and beyond. Recall Gavin. 2020.com.
After all, they're mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma.
Rock and roll. Mike is on a roll tonight.
Oh, someone fed him some quarters tonight. What's going on?
Somebody pulled his string. He's got one of those strings.
He's wound
like,
up for
Woody
sure.
has. That's funny.
All right, we got 14 things going on in the chat here. I've been sharing across from Northern California all the way down to the national border, as Mike likes to say, all the way over to the Sierras. So yeah, we're shared all the way around, as well as on 6 different Facebook Live groups, and got some things covered. So I want to introduce lovely Courtney Evans, who will be helping us out in our commercial intermissions. Courtney
Evans, welcome to the intermission show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was quite entertained, and this is my first time that I'm going to be watching the whole show. I've popped in a couple times, so I'm happy to be here.
You know, I don't think I've ever made it through a whole show myself.
He's only talking about the reruns, folks.
You know, it's really interesting, and Mike and Eric are going to be breaking some news a little bit later today, but we did launch a counter strike against the governor and his team today to flat out take him to task as far as his false narrative that he's been promoting regarding this recall, both on the news and in legal papers at the court. So there's and I'll let them explain it as we go forward, but there's a lot of really good things that are happening, and we're working. Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to the show tonight?
I am California born and raised. I live in San Benito County, which is my home, and I'm a business owner. I have been quite an activist in my community I started an open SBC Patriots group. I opened my
Oh,
business last
sorry,
week.
folks. We're going back on live.
Oh,
We'll come right back to you, Courtney. Hold that thought.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant, which contains always California politics. Before we get to the callers, we got lines lighting up tonight, kind of like we got signatures in the Gavin campaign here. I want to go to some breaking news that the recall did today. And I need you all out there, whether you're watching us on podcast, whether you're listening to the live stream or listening over the airwaves, pay attention to this whole show. This is literally going to be one of the most life-changing weeks in California politics. And we're going to
Pay attention,
one at a time. That's right. Thank you, Oren. The cook has shouted from the kitchen. Oren, what did we do today to strike back at his Gavinness?
Newsom, no office for you.
Oren, Eric, why don't you explain that in legal terms?
in the brain right now.
Okay, this is what we did. We filed a new lawsuit up in Sacramento Superior Court today. The recall campaign against the Secretary of State and naming Gavin Newsom as a real party in interest. And what it's about is the following. Every voter in California is going to get mailed a voter information guide. And in that voter information guide, Newsom has a statement in there about why the recall should be defeated. And Oren has a statement in there about why the recall should, why Newsom should be recalled. But these statements, you got to follow the law in California. It's not like Newsom and his sponsors are doing by sending these commercials all over the airwaves filled with total lies about how this is a Republican Trump recall, how basically the recall is being brought by the same people who stormed the Capitol and every other ridiculous thing they're saying. But Newsom's statement in the voter information guide is essentially that same stuff. He's calling it a Republican takeover, a Trump, basic supporter takeover by these terrible people who, et cetera, et cetera. And everything he said, or most of what he said, violates certain California laws. It says those statements, which are paid for by the state and sent to every voter, cannot be false or misleading. So we filed a lawsuit today to force Gavin Newsom to change most of the statements in that voter petition guide. So, and we've already heard back from the court. It was filed today, and the hearing is going to be Wednesday up in Sacramento. And I'm going to be arguing for Oren and Mike and the California Patriot Coalition. I'm so honored to be the lead lawyer for Recall Gavin 2020. And Newsom will have somebody there arguing for him and the Secretary of State. And so there it goes. So hopefully we get the ruling we want.
And understand what this means, everybody out there. And I'm going to jump to two callers and let you guys actually talk tonight. So don't worry. Thank you for being in studio. But understand something. Gavin Newsom, the group we call the Democrats, or Gavin's camp, for so long has gone unopposed. They have an 80% majority. They do what they want. When Gavin forgot the deed, just as a quick reminder, a few weeks ago, and basically sued himself, okay? He sued the Secretary of State with the great defense, the Steve Martin defense, which you defeated quite well, Eric, which I forgot. And that was pretty much...
That was the last thing we sued him on, and we got a great ruling against him last time. He's probably apoplectic about what he's reading right now.
So we are standing up, we the people. And I'm going to roll two callers because Elizabeth
Us
Warren,
Republicans can no longer just sit back and take it in the shorts from these people. Those people on the other side are merciless, and they've been merciless for years. And, I've learned a lot of things from, among others, Donald Trump, and he never gave an inch, and we no longer can give an inch to those people. And they are shocked.
Go ahead, Kevin.
That they are shocked that we are not giving them an inch anymore.
Let's think about this for a minute. A big percentage of these folks that are actually demanding the recall, that have signed the petition, these are Biden supporters, and these are people who had supported him. And look at this.
Yeah, well, let me jump in on that, Ken.
No, hang on a second.
Yeah.
So the fact that he would file something to say this is a right-wing Republican Trump thing, these are so many Democrats.
Ken, let me just explain to you what we filed, bro. In addition to the brief we filed sworn statements from a number of California voters who say Every single one of them, to a person, is either a Democrat or a Libertarian, have never voted Republican in their life. One of the ones is this great woman who's been on the show before, who even named her kid after Gavin Newsom. And they say in sworn statements that they are not Republicans, they're not Trump supporters, they're huge supporters of recalling Gavin Newsom. And, this flies totally in the face of the BS that he's been handing out. And as Mike knows and as Orrin knows, there are estimates of 20 to 30% of those signers of the millions of petitions were not Republicans.
Well, in LA County, Mike, am I correct in saying it's about 51%?
We don't know. And I don't want to say that because those statistics came out. Let's put it this way. But I have a couple callers who are delighting me that I want to bring in. The reason for that is Greg from Santa Ana asked, I wonder, which is a great point. I wonder how much they paid Elizabeth Warren to do this. Greg, you're on the air. Welcome to a table at Friday night at the French Laundry.
Hey, it's so nice to be at the French Laundry with you guys.
Hey, it's nice to have you.
All right. Yeah, I'm curious as to how much money was spent on Elizabeth Warren's promo. Did they fly her out here to California to make it? Did they have to fly her back? They probably had to feed her and put her up somewhere. It wasn't for free.
Well, that's a great point, and that's what I keep saying, Greg. Here we are, again, we got the recall done for about 50 cents a signature, yet the powerful, rich infrastructure is not only buying and, NBC, everybody's worth millions and tens of millions doing this. And you're right, that's a good question. I wonder what she got paid for this.
It's got to be disclosed, right?
Well, it's got
it's really immaterial, folks. And I'm going to jump in here really quick on that note, because money can't buy the respect and the loss of confidence. It can't buy that back.
Mm-hmm.
Newsom has lost the faith and confidence of the people, and the rich, wealthy elite have poured money into his campaign while he's poured our tax dollars down the drain. But that money isn't going to change the minds of the people in California that have been so negatively impacted. And I'll tell you what, David took Goliath down with a couple stones in his pocket and a slingshot, and we're going to do the same thing here on a shoestring budget, because we are the people of California. We hold the votes of the people and the faith and the trust of the people that are backing this movement. And that's something that money just can't buy.
And that's
true.
That's very true. It's exactly.
Totally agree with Orrin there. And I tend to doubt that Elizabeth Warren got paid anything. Elizabeth Warren, like all of those that think like she does, Biden and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton and that whole cabal of just evil people, Gavin Newsom, Pelosi, they know that if they lose California, they're going to lose themselves all throughout this country. And they are doing whatever they can to keep this arrogant punk empty suit in power out here. That's what it comes down to. And once we topple him, we start toppling the deck of these blue states across the country.
Well, and I think it's important to note that don't get paid directly, but they build their wealth. I always find it really fascinating that here we are, most of us in the recall, and Angela, I want you to comment on this before we roll the next caller here. Yeah. Common, ordinary citizens, okay? Nobody on this radio show is really rich. Well, we're quasi-famous, I put it, because of what we're doing. But the reality is we aren't backbending millionaires or billionaires, to your point, or it's the people. Yet these people that have elected jobs that pay, $100, $200 a year, not bad cash, are all of a sudden worth like $12 and $15 million.
Thank you. How does that happen? Can I get that playbook? I mean, it's so outrageous, and it's so obvious that it's career politicians. I mean, honestly, I guess I could be killed for saying this, but I think we need 2-year term limits. We need no lobbying money, and nobody can write a freaking book until they're way out of office. How about that? That's what I would like to see.
Yeah,
I'm in. By the way, you're talking about I hate to go back to this Republican Democrat thing, but the most victimized people in this state have been Democrats. You take a look at San Francisco, what Gavin Newsom did to San Francisco, that happened on his watch. When we had offices and businesses up there, that crap wasn't going on. Now you've got poop maps. You've got Needles poop maps that show you where to go. You actually do have that. You had to have it in San Francisco. You have it here. That happened on his watch as mayor. Then as lieutenant governor, it crept all around the entire state. And down here in Los Angeles, and also a great big Democratic, area. And the two biggest victims of him are us. So that's why you've got so many Democrats that are out to get him. It's not a Democrat thing. This guy has done a horrible job, and they're tired of it.
But the funny thing is his ego is so inflated that Eric, you just repeated, I think verbatim, what I read in an article that Newsom was saying. He was saying what you were saying. Well, if I go down, we're all going to go down.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Well, it's true.
Well,
did he really?
It's not because of him, but it's the political stance that he has running the state. If they lose that in California, they're going to start watching that topple in the like-minded states around the country and be one of the best things ever happened.
Right in line with this, before we have to roll over, Ron, we'll get to you after the break. I want to go to Flora from Kern County. You're a legal immigrant for recall, not what they say you are. Welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
I just love you guys so much. Thank you for having me. I seriously, I joined you guys a year ago, never been in politics, never did anything except vote. And that was it. So, when I met you guys and your team, being a legal immigrant, we paid our way. My mom paid her way for us to all become legal citizens. And Gavin Newsom took a lot of rights away from a lot of us, our children, my son, my kids, my grandkids, and all these laws that he passed against children. I jumped in with you guys, and it's been the greatest thing for me because it woke me up to what these people were doing to our country. And we need to wake people up, or they just need to wake up, because church people that are here that are just going about their business, I don't think they understand what's at stake at this time.
Well, no, I think that's really what scares Gavin the most, in addition to the recall. And I should rephrase that. I'm not sure Gavin's bright enough, sorry, to be scared by anything. But maybe there's going to be a hair gel shortage. But I think more importantly, what the Democratic Party is scared of is that this deep state mechanism that they've been fooling the people with California is getting exposed. The fact that nothing, like I talked to two mysterious people that I can't mention their name, they're in the studio with me tonight, that it simply gets worse and worse, yet they're selling idealism, which is not executable. Well, we're going to roll the break here in about 1 minute, I believe, but thank you so much for everything that you've done. For everybody out there.
I'm just going to have to say to Angela real quick before we go to break that Angela, you may have to go back to the kitchen to get a cleaver to cut your way into the conversation, okay? You got to have a sharp tongue if you're going to join in.
Yeah, or I could see us come back with a heavy one. Hey, I warned. Look, last week, nobody could hear me except when I called in, because we were using technology for Nita's airplane hangar. And by the way, Eric, I want to thank you for giving us a technology recommendation of the same guys, the same people that gave us the voting.
That wasn't me, bro. As Oren knows,
with the t-shirts on, and I go, this might not work out too
as
well.
Oren well knows, Mike was bragging to us for 4 days before last Friday about how he had bought this $600 sound mixer and he was going to change history for KABC. and I'm thinking, I don't know about this. And of course, it crashed and burned in the middle of the show.
And as my witnesses are, as I was out there on stage sweating, trying to make it work, in the green room is Eric and Orna on the couch going, God, I hope Joe never gets this out.
When I got out to the stage, Mike has a microphone in one hand and is talking in his cell phone on the other hand, and it's the cell phone that apparently had you connected to this ABC.
And Kent has Oren has
I think you're right, Oren. I think you're right.
Oren and I had 10 cups.
Listen, we got to roll it up here.
I'm the only girl in the guys' locker room.
Yep. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to do it. We're going to roll so KABC can make money. Get ready. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry. Come back. We got more news. Recall Gavin2020.com. Roll it.
They are more contagious after all, they're mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma. Why you do what you want, even pardon in laws. Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donate it. AM 790.
KABC.
All right. So folks that are watching out there, if you have the abilities to share this on your Facebook group pages, please do so. Being throttled down a little bit. Anyways, Courtney, back to you.
As I was saying, I own a business. I own a yoga studio, and I had been pretty vocal speaking up at my local board of supervisors meetings and city council meetings, and been a very open and loud voice holding protests. We even had a big freedom rally last June, and I opened my business last May. I went to a board of supervisors meeting on December 15th of last year without a mask, and I was arrested pretty aggressively, just waiting to speak my 3 minutes at public comment. And I had with me the state of California's recommendations for people that go and vote without a mask. And it very clearly says in there that if somebody shows up to vote without a mask, that their rights take precedence, that you're to step away from them if you feel comfortable, and that they can vote. And so my question to my board of supervisors was, where do my rights end and begin? How do you tell me that I can go and vote without a mask, but I can't go and speak at a board of supervisors meeting? So it's been quite a journey thus far. And I've been charged criminally in my Superior Court County. And so I'm just trying to hold my ground, educate, and bring as many people in my community together and recall Gavin Newsom for sure, and also work that groundwork.
Wow.
From the bottom to the top and kind of squish it all.
Absolutely. And you heard Eric earlier talk about a young lady, Andrea Hedstrom, who had done a declaration for us, lifelong Democrat, voted for Gavin Newsom, named her now 9-year-old son Gavin. She's following the same path you are. She's an activist, and she has been arrested no less than 3 times for participating in her God-given constitutional rights and her First Amendment rights on the Capitol grounds. She's a peaceful person, very, she's just somebody that wants the best for her children, and she's willing to. And I always say, Mike and I may have started this whole movement. We may be the driver or the leaders behind it, but this recall has been driven by the angry mama bears, the women of California, up and down California, the angry parents that are pissed off at this governor for his forcing the controversial sexual education curriculum into our public schools, for his signing SB 145, which is known as the pedophile bill, which lowered the offenses. And this governor is going out there going, crime has gone down. Crime, we have less crime now than blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's because you no longer report it. You made these things no longer a crime to commit, the prostitution or possession of drugs, or sales of drugs and distribution of needles and things like that. Things that we used to have at our disposal in law enforcement and no longer have.
Well, when they own the information, they can bend it all they want. They do it with COVID, they do it, and they're trying to now control with the media. So if they hold that information, they can turn it any way that they want to the public.
Yep, exactly.
Well, one of the wonderful things about the recall that's been started against Gavin is that recalls have been going up and down the state, and they have one going on in the town that Courtney lives in. But unfortunately, we're going back to the radio show, so
we'll come right back to that after the break.
We promise a profitable.
Oh, wait, no, go ahead. Wait, here we are.
It's Friday night at the French Laundry. On the menu tonight, a better California with Executive Chef Orrin Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Friday nights at the French Laundry. I've been told on Twitter and a few things I didn't do a proper introduction of our staff tonight. So I'm going to start again. It's me, Mike Netter, the maitre d'. We have Orrin Heatley, who's the main chef who cooked up this recall. We have Angela Marson.
I'm the bartender.
You are the bartender. Is that what you do here?
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm the bartender.
Thank you for fixing my water with ice. I really appreciate that. We have Ken Edmonds, who originally started the Comedy Channel, and frankly, Kent, you are just a joke.
Totally.
What do you
Absolutely.
do here, actually?
That was not recently. That was like in 1995. It's been a while.
Hey, I'm slow. And of course, we have our sous chef, which I just love saying, which is Eric Early.
How you doing, buddy? Always nice to be here in the restaurant.
It is nice to be here. It's good to have everybody here tonight. We do have a full house. We've covered a little bit of what this week. I want to go back to Elizabeth Warren in 1 second. We covered what's coming up. We have a hearing in court this Wednesday at 1:30, which coincidentally or not happens to be the same day there was a gubernatorial debate on Fox 11 that Orrin and I are going to be at the Nixon Library. That's big, everybody out there. The recall is real, and we need you to vote yes and pick the candidate of your choice.
You know what, Mike? I'm going to jump right in the middle of
Well,
that.
you better
part of the
hurry, dude, because I'll
conversation
just keep talking.
I know you will. We all know you will. But I want to say that, you know, these debates are incredibly important for people to pay attention to. This is a platform where we get to hear from the top contenders, and they get to sell their case to the public. Why, when we vote yes to recall this governor, why are they the best choice for us to replace this governor? And what about them sets them apart from the others, apart from the herd, so to speak? So it's very important that people tune in, listen, make an informed decision as to who we're going to put in the Capitol to replace this governor. First and foremost, vote yes to recall the governor, so we have that as an option. But then look at there's 46 candidates running, and they're not all going to be at this event. But, of the ones that are there, listen to what they have to say. Use that information to educate yourself and make an informed decision on who you want to replace this governor and take California into the future.
Or before we jump to Ron, because Ron has been on hold for a bit and I want to get to her, I want to stress at this debate, to my knowledge, is going to be Faulkner, Kiley, Cox, help me out, Doug Osee. I believe Larry Elder might show up. That's what I've heard. But it'll be the top 5 or 6. And again, to Orrin's point, this is serious business, everybody. Newsom, by the way, and I said at the beginning of the show when I was really over the top and probably will continue to be, refused an invitation. So anybody out there who thinks that Gavin wasn't invited, he was by an independent third party, and he elected not to show up because he's afraid to face the people. We have a very unique caller online I'd like to bring in, Rana from Tastic, because she actually agrees with
what
me.
a missed opportunity for the governor to turn his nose up.
To make a fool out of himself even more.
They're afraid to face people.
First of all, I think it's completely insulting to the people of California. Just hearing that makes me angry. Here we are. We've had all this homelessness. Our businesses have been, almost put out of business. This is the person responsible, and he doesn't even believe enough in himself and the choices that he's made to get up and tell us what he's about, why he made these choices, and actually debate and show us what he's made from.
Angela,
that's outrageous.
That all sounds great, but personally, I don't want to hear a word that guy has to say. He has nothing. I'm talking about Newsom. He's got nothing new to offer. He's the same robotic, thing that he's always been. And I think we all know that about him already. He'll just get up there and, keep saying these platitudes that are worthless.
Absolutely agree. By the way, we have Angela in studio. If you don't mind, just so the audience knows your backstory and why you're here, because I've read about you during this pandemic and what happened during the pandemic. But if you would, just to set it for the audience, your background and why you're here and why it's so important that people like you step up and participate in this recall?
Yeah, I'll try to make it short, but
we got a couple callers, but go ahead.
I related very much with the last caller. It had to hit my front door for me to actually get involved and see what was going on. And obviously I struggled throughout the pandemic with my pub in Sherman Oaks. So
you owned a pub in Sherman Oaks?
I owned a pub in Sherman Oaks, and basically I did outdoor dining, and he put us out of business 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But then he allowed a movie production company to put a 200-person tent, not next door, not in another parking lot, in the very same parking lot 15 feet away with a catering truck, while I had to shut down.
Yep.
And I basically was going out of business and giving last paycheck.
And this is the same guy that was caught at the French Laundry when everybody else was not only locked down, they were
Right.
pretty much in their house. He's up there, coincidentally, with medical lobbyists,
Oh.
pharmaceutical and medical lobbyists. He's up there doing it. And he's
Guess
putting
who else
you
was
out
there?
of business.
Guess who else was there?
Who's that?
A lobbyist for the film companies. I believe Netflix.
No kidding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, he's eating dinner with them and getting whatever you
That's
get.
one of the reasons why these lawsuits against him are sort of enjoyable, because none of us will forget the lives of people
Oh, no.
that he destroyed. So many of the people we knew, so many restaurateurs I know that blood, sweat, and tears fought for their lives to build a business, and then, believe in the American dream, and then comes this arrogant punk
Mhm.
and destroys them all at the snap of a finger without caring a damn thing about it. All he had to do, and I've always said this, is follow what the governor in Florida did and follow what the governor in Texas
Yeah.
did, and sit back and not open your darn mouth.
Oh, follow
But
the
he-
science, Eric.
Oh,
Follow
the-
the science.
But Newsom always knew better, and your business was one unfortunate example of that arrogance and how it impacted lives.
And I want to get to a couple of callers, Angela, because the next segment, I want you to talk about a very strong issue that you've got. And so let's roll, because I'm being a bad maitre d' here. Let's go to Rana because Rana, I'm not going to say what city you're from, but because you agree with me, I've been trying to get you on the air.
Hi, Rana.
Gassaic.
Hi, crew. Are you there?
Where everybody's here.
What's up, Rana?
Oh my God. Hey, I just want to say hi to Eric and Angela, because you two are phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Eric, thank you so much for bringing that lawsuit.
Thank you. My
Angela, what
pleasure.
you did back in November has totally inspired me in what I've done.
Yes.
Rana, you want a martini or a margarita tonight?
Not martini.
I'll take a martini
Well,
too,
you were
Angela.
talking about Liz Warren, who's drunk on power. So give us a quick blast in 30 seconds.
Oh
On
my
her.
God, Mike, that was like the best rant ever. Elizabeth Warren is a total clown. And I can't imagine anyone in California would really take her that seriously.
Amen.
Amen.
Yep.
Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. Thank you very, very much. Before we roll, I want to roll to another caller. Brett from Santa Cruz, you tell us why you're calling in.
Well, I can tell you the big reason I'm calling in. So the last couple of years, I opened up a little med spa. I was doing Botox stores, those types of things, make pretty girls look prettier, and doing hair restoration and different things. I spent 15 years at the bedside working ICU as a nurse before I got my doctorate. Became a family nurse practitioner, and we got shut down. It's like the hair salons, restaurants, and all those things because it was not an essential thing. So I went back to the bedside nursing, and since then I've worked at 8 different facilities, 6 in California, 1 in New Orleans, and 1 in Brooklyn, New York, directly dealing with COVID patients in the ICU. And I'm tired of zipping up body bags, for one. And a lot of it came from this whole shelter-in-place thing, because I'm also a member of an organization, American Frontline Doctors. And I've been doing a protocol that's been helping called
Frontline Doctors.
unapproved treatments. You do? Thank God.
Love them.
So I've been doing protocols and stuff. I actually wrote a book about it. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But I've been giving protocol for people since March of last year, and preventing disease, treating disease, and actually lately I've been treating side effects of vaccinations. And with positive results, I haven't had anybody die on me in my private practice. And that's an incredible thing. Yet I'm banned, I'm barred. I put keywords on my book like COVID, treatment, survive, and I'm banned exactly for those 3 keywords because they don't fit their community guidelines. They don't want a cure; they want the vaccine. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer at all. I've gotten online. I've worked in healthcare for years. I get my flu shot every year. I'm just not about to let people pull Nazi experiments on me. or other people, especially the side effects I had. I mean, a good friend of mine, his 19-year-old daughter, had a liver transplant when she was 4. So she was a year behind in school. She graduated this year from high school. Right. And she was peer pressured, and her teachers did too. You can't walk in the graduation unless you get the jab. And so she did. Unfortunately, in her case, she's not a candidate for really any kind of vaccine because she's immunosuppressed. And she's had 4 trips to Stanford about a week apiece in the last 4 months.
Hey, Brett.
Liver failure and almost wound up on the liver transplant. Yeah,
Brett,
brush it up.
I'm gonna roll a couple of my notes. We've got a quick question for you, and then we're gonna roll the break. This is amazing what you're telling us, actually. Angela, you got a question for Brett here?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but what I want to say is, number one, I am immunocompromised. I've had tuberculosis. I have latex allergies, severe allergies. I understand what your daughter has went through. Frontline doctors, you guys have been my heroes because I want to be proactive in case I do get COVID. But I luckily, knock on wood, I haven't gotten COVID. And as business owners, we're now starting to deal with this whole issue. I had brought it up to Mike. We have some restaurants that are requiring you to have vaccination, proof of vaccination. Subway just put out, you can't sit down and eat in there if you don't have proof of vaccination. I'm a business owner struggling with this. And I did find a really great solution for small businesses, but I put in those FDA ionizers. It cost me almost $20,000 into my bar, and it kills COVID 99.9% in the air. But I am so happy you brought this up because this is becoming a huge issue right now. And as business owners and as someone that can't get the vaccine, I'm struggling with these issues. So thank you.
Brett, thank you very much. I want to roll here because Angela, you've got something very important to tell us in the next segment. I'm going to roll it off to the next one with my usual salutation. Stand back, turn the radio down. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC 790. You better stay tuned. We've got a lot to say. It's Recall, Gavin2020.com.
Example of a really big hypocrisy. You don't understand, we're not like other creatures.
Wow. Awesome little segment there. So one of the questions that's come up is addressing again the voter integrity in the ballot boxes. Actually, I've actually had a couple of questions come in on phone calls and as well as in the chat about how the votes will be taking place. So Oren, if you want to help address that and actually bring it up in the radio show as well. So put a little something in Eric's here.
We talked with the people at Voter Integrity Project, EIP-CA.com. Linda Payne and her group, it's a national organization. And since we've been promoting the EIP-CA.com group, they have taken on many volunteers in California. They're up to hundreds that they weren't expecting. So we're hoping to get 1,000 volunteers to help become poll watchers. They are doing training as we speak right now, and bringing people up to speed on what they can do in order to help process the ballots as they come in, either through the mail or in person. Become a poll watcher, go to EIP-CA.com, log in, and you can volunteer with that organization and help secure the vote and help build the confidence that we have, because apathy is one of the things that's killing our state. People just feel that, oh, well, I'm not going to waste my time.
So I guess to address part of the question a little bit more is the polls will be open. So this is not a all vote by mail or drop off in a ballot box situation, correct?
I believe so. Yep. We'll hear more about that as we go forward, but yes.
Okay. Very good. Oh, and we're going back on, I think.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was.
And Mater D. Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to our restaurant of virtual California politics cuisine. Listen, I want to give this next few minutes, Oren, I'm sorry, Oren, I got to say this, whether you like it or not, to Angela, who came on the show with an important issue that I want her to discuss and make clear to the public out there for all the restaurant owners before we even hit the 8 o'clock hour. So everybody out there, I want you to really stay tuned on what Angela has to explain to you next, because it's important for everybody out there, whether you own a restaurant, eat at a restaurant, or have friends that do.
Thank you so much. I actually received a call from a woman that owns a restaurant in Connecticut and a gentleman that owns a tavern in New Jersey. And what we've been having an issue with is the restaurant revitalization fund that they've touted that everybody gets. 63.7% of the restaurants have not received the money. The funds ran out. And unfortunately, that means I know at least 3 restaurant owners right now that are struggling, and they all applied on time and they all were basically accepted. There was roughly 278,304 applications were submitted on time, and only 101,000 across the United States was funded. And you have to remember, that's still a very small percentage, because if you weren't already open, you couldn't apply. So bars that were shut down and were up and running couldn't apply. A lot of catering places couldn't apply. And so there is a bill right now that we have that we are really trying to get all the co-signers on. Currently, we need obviously 217 to get out of committee. And we actually have upped it now to 208, but not everybody that signed on to the original bill has signed on to this. It's a 2-page bill simply to get the rest of the funding for the rest of the restaurants out there so that they can survive. And I would love if anybody knows Katie Porter, because she's from California. She originally signed on the original one. But I have a list of people who originally signed on that didn't. If you can call your congressman and please get them on and get them to sign on to this so we can get it out of committee, you'll be helping restaurants across the United States. And Brad Sherman did jump on recently. So thank you, Brad. We want this to be a bipartisan effort. This is written by a Democrat. It's got Republicans, Democrats. So we just want everybody to come together, put the politics aside, and get these restaurants funded. The bill itself is HR 3807. So please call your congressman and get them to get these last 8 signatures so we can fund these restaurants, because I'm telling you, I know it looks busy. I know it looks like things are okay, but these restaurants are struggling right now, and they're just putting on a good face, hoping that things are going to get better.
So is this part of the original Relief Act?
Yes.
Okay, and they just didn't fund it.
They ran out of money. They had issues
That's
with
just
lawsuits.
insane.
Yeah. And then they're acting, this is the things that make me mad about politics, is that, I'm really bad at names, but the reporter on MSNBC saying, Katie, what's her name, said literally, oh, so all you restaurants that got this grant money and you can't find employees, just pay them more. 63.7% never even received the money. They're not talking about it. They're talking about funding this. They're talking about funding that. And we are the hardest hit industry. We are also the second largest industry across the United States. So I appreciate you giving this time. I know, I could call a list of names out. I'm not trying to embarrass politicians. I'm just asking them to please step up and do what's right.
That's what you do for a living now, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so here we have
These
it.
are people that are supposed to serve.
Greg Statton's not on. Diana DeGettit, James Himes, Darren Soto, Charlie Christ, Frederica Wilson, David Scott, Jared Golden. These are all people that originally signed on to the first one that have not signed on for this. Anthony Brown, Rashiba Tahib, Benny Thompson, Susie Lee, Stephen Horsford, Tom Malowski, Donald Payne, Kathleen Rice, Antonio Delgado, Tom Reed, Emma Adams, Steve Silvers. I know here in California, Kevin McCarthy, Devin Nunes, Nancy Pelosi.
Have they signed on or they haven't?
Have not.
They have not.
What I'm asking you to
These
do
are
here
all
before we
that have not.
Here's if you could do this.
Mhm.
I'm getting requests here. If you could even just take a picture, something as simple as what you're reading from right now, post it on either your Twitter account or your Facebook account where people can go to see that.
Absolutely.
Because what we need to do, again, and I don't care if you're Democratic, I don't care if you're Republican, no one really gives a damn. What we need to do is make sure that small businesses are funded. And before I go to the next caller, okay, so make sure to post that.
I will. I will post it on my Instagram, and I will also post it on my Facebook. And that is, Facebook is PH Saloon, and the Instagram is Pineapple Hill Saloon.
Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter too.
Send
PH
it to
Saloon
me on Twitter, and @Netter Mike will retweet it.
Okay,
all right?
great.
It's important that the message get out. I want to stress everybody out there that, again, just like Eric filed this week for Orrin and myself, Orrin, that this is nonpartisan. California is across party lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't care if you're the Republican infrastructure not funding the recall, or you're the Democratic infrastructure lying about the recall. We need to get together and save California. I'd also like to note in the theme of our show that Plumpjack Restaurants, I know we've got 2 left, I'm being told 2 left, that Plumpjack Restaurants got their $3 million loan. Isn't that special?
Really?
Orrin, I want to roll to you because I can see you got something to say before we hit break.
Yeah, just take it to break, Mike.
Orrin, you're muted. Oh, well. I actually like Orrin on mute. This might work out well for me.
Kind of a mime, kind of a country mime.
So,
This might work out well for you.
Magdalena, let's go to you. Our recall, the most patient recall groupie in the petition business, if you will. Got about a minute.
Can you hear me okay,
I
guys?
can hear you okay. We've got about a minute left. Give us a San Francisco blast.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. I want to make a shout out to Tony Roman, first of all.
Yes.
Angela, you too, sweetheart. But I've been following Tony, and I've been texting him all the time. Man, he's a leader too. So, okay, here we go. Less than a minute. I've been passing out the recall things with my thing about Magdalena Recall Radio, number 1. I'm trying to educate people here because London Breed's an idiot, and she's making it worse for us as it is. You know, all these restrictions, and you have to, go to a restaurant bar with some kind of identification. A lot of people here in San Francisco are not buying it. People are sick of this. I'm a San Francisco Chronicle, like a Twitter person. We go back and forth messages. People are so tired of this. People want to get back to normal in San Francisco.
Magdalena, God bless you. I'm going to have to cut you off here. We appreciate you. Okay. We love you, girl. Keep up the good work. The music's going to start, which means I got to shout. Everybody hang on. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC. You better stay tuned for the second hour. Recall Gavin20.com is coming at you. We got a lot more to cover in the next 60 minutes.
Wasn't me. The home of Ben Bunch.
All right. There you are, Orrin. Okay.
That's what happens when you put a person with dyslexia in front of 2 screens. I can't remember which one do I have to
dude,
unmute.
you should see how many screens I have going. You'd go insane.
You know what?
Orrin.
Mike calls me on the spot like that, and he expects me to just jump through hoops.
Woo! Well, we'll get through the next hoop. So, let's see here. Oh yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, this has kind of started a wonderful domino effect as far as recalls are concerned. As we just heard Magdalena, they also have a recall going on where Courtney is. Courtney, you want to talk a little briefly about that?
We have really done I think an excellent job to, use our voices, and we've inspired everyone in our community who wants to do something to actually take action. So a woman is recalling our mayor, who has been, trying to really take the right-hand side of Gavin Newsom. He's trying to change what our city is managed at to give him as a mayor more power. He's just will lie straight to your face. So I'm really happy to see other people in my small community stand up and take some action and learn how to hold our public elected officials accountable, because that's what's lacking. Everyone is kind of afraid, like, well, he's my neighbor. I mean, the captain that arrested me is my neighbor. He lives 2 doors down from me. And I think at this point, people are a little bit nervous. What we really need is this community grassroots effort for people to feel empowered to come and speak on public record, for them to put people on notice and understand who their representatives are and hold them accountable as such.
Where can people go to find the information about the recall that you're talking about?
So we have it all on our open SBC. It's kind of in this process where it's going back and forth with the city clerk, and it's like, oh, well, you don't have this, and trying to discourage the recall effort. And you know, our county is pretty corrupt. Even with my legal case, it's really hard for me to even find support and somebody to come into my county. I've had 5 or 6 lawyers within the Bay Area tell me, like, you can't pay me enough to go to San Benito County. And so it's definitely challenging. We're putting up a website for our San Bernardino County Patriots, but on our Facebook hashtag Open SBC is where we collect as a county and share info and support each other.
Oh, very good. It sounds like you guys have a good foundation to go by anyway. So when is this mayor's term up?
His term is up in 2022.
Okay.
Our sheriff is up in 2022. We have quite a few seats that are up in 2022.
That being said, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer in the room, but there's physically not enough time between today and the election in 2022 in order to launch a recall effort and then go through the signature gathering phase and go through all of the other processes that take place before and after in order to get that person removed. And the county registrar would then just say, okay, we're so close to an election, whether it's a couple months out or what, we're just going to push it to the general election.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's a lot. So you might be better served by you, and your community might be better served by focusing your efforts on just finding that right person to replace this mayor, and then champion them and get behind them.
Which is absolutely our thought process. We didn't want to discourage the effort of the people getting involved in learning and collecting signatures and putting themselves out there. And then also having these people who are signing this to be published in the newspaper, their name and address and things like that. So just that movement, just that step, I think has grown people's courage and involvement and action, and just that there are people in our county that are willing to stand up. So we have, you know, asked them to step back and put their efforts on finding a candidate instead of the recall efforts. But in no way, shape, or form did we want to take away this learning process and this action with these passionate people in the community. So we're on the same wavelength, my friend.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. You definitely want to steer people in the right direction. I talk to a lot of people up and down the state. You know, hey, we want to recall all 5 board members, and I said, okay, well, out of those 5, how many are due to be up for election in 2022? And then we have a conversation of where to spend resources and what to do and how to move forward as far as those efforts go. So. And those are important conversations to have, and a lot of people just don't want to hear that truth at that point.
2020, number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prop 39 LLC, CGB Ranch. This is your 5-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Oren Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, political fans, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, our virtual restaurant of cuisine about California politics, with the main entrees, the recall of Gavin Newsom. Look, if you missed the first hour, too bad for you, as I like to say. You missed the rant about Elizabeth Warren. Have no fear, I'm not doing that again, Oren. You missed us talking about the debate which is coming up, which is critically important this Wednesday. You missed the fact that with Eric Early's help, Oren and I and the recall group were able to file again against Gavin. And that hearing is taking at 1:30. Go to our website, see what we're talking about. We have a lot to cover But I want to get to a very patient caller, Sandy from Chester, who has a real good point about the Dixie Fire that may cause you not to receive ballots. And we think there's an answer to it. But Sandy, I think you have a real important point. Welcome to our restaurant. Orrin has a few words for you.
Okay. Orrin, do you want to say something before I say something?
Orrin, you're still
Oh,
muted.
no. Well, given that opportunity, I'll jump in. And I just want to reiterate the fact that, I think there was $11 billion that was put into a trust for the victims of the Camp Fire, which has yet to be distributed. And we are how many months out?
Right.
Yeah.
So just a travesty, and these poor people are being re-victimized yet again by their own government.
Oh,
so what kind of information do you have for us?
Well, I live in Chester, and we're under a evacuation warning, and our town is wonderful. Our Collins Pine company is wonderful. They made a big break for us to keep our town safe, taking out their lumber for us. But there's all these small communities that are still in the evacuation warning. And we got them at our house. We got them at my mom's house. We got them, we're helping with the dogs. We're helping with everything we can. But they're not getting mail, they're not going to get the mail. And the Dixie Fire started, I don't know if you know this, but it started right where the Camp Fire started by PG&E.
Wow.
It's burned 240,000 acres of beautiful timber that I love. I'm sorry. I'm born and raised here. If it wasn't for you guys, I would be in Texas because we bought property in Texas. But I found you guys. I love you guys so much because you kept me here. You kept me in California fighting. And I just love you guys.
Thank you for staying. Thank you.
Oh, I'm fighting my butt off because it's so hard. It's so hard right now.
We have
I've
to
lost.
stay and fight and take a stand.
That's right.
I know. And you don't know. This is my forest. I go out there all the time. I have pictures of all these places that have been burned up that I love. We didn't thin the forest, like we should have, blah, blah, blah. And Gavin Newsom last year, when he went to that small town, trespassed, and then said it's all climate change.
Yeah, the idiot.
When 16 people died and he trespassed on land.
Wow.
Yeah, I read that article.
It was so devastating. It was so devastating. And that's why I was so full of fear and wanting to run away. And we have 5.44 acres in Texas. But I don't want to move to Texas. I want California back. I was born and raised here. My dad was born and raised in Cedarville, California. It's a farming community, an awesome place too. And I want to fight for California.
Thank you so
You're
so
awesome,
much.
Sandy.
Orrin,
hang in there,
California's
Sandy. Help is on the way.
California's worth fighting for, and we need to fight to make it a place worth calling home.
Yeah. And I've traveled around with Eric and I've been doing these town halls. And Sandy, thank you. And before you get off there, I want to tell you something. This is a beautiful state. And for everybody out there, and Sandy, if anything happens up there at all, please get a hold of me or anybody you know. For those of you that don't know, my house burned in California wildfires in 2007. And I with pleasure will give anybody any kind of coaching of what I learned from going through the experience. And to Orrin's point, could have moved then, ain't moving now. This is a state worth fighting for, and we have to fight.
Yeah.
Sandy, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
It's stories like yours of the people that came up to us last Monday night, Orrin, that said they've been afraid to speak up, that have never been involved. But as we've watched our movement grow and grow, it's appalling to me how people have been afraid to speak up. It's appalling to me how people are forced out of this state, right, Orrin, that we love.
Thousands of people right now living in fear of fires coming to their homes, and we got a governor who could do all kinds of things to help prevent that from happening. Instead, he has to get out there and do what Sandy was saying, start talking about climate change. Yeah. Which if any of that stuff he was actually talking about was true, it would take hundreds of years to actually change anything. We need a change in this state for people like Sandy. We need to keep Sandy and everybody here in this great state.
Go ahead, Ken.
Mike, to your point, and Sandy, to your point, this is a great state. I mean, you think about it, this state has got everything. I've built 3 amazing businesses in this state. We've had to move a couple of them out just because you can't operate here. But this state has got everything in the world going forth. It's just, I believe this, Eric. Eric and I have talked about this a lot. It's been hijacked by bad leadership. That's the only problem. And so it's going to take all of us to turn it around. And again, Mike, you're very shy about this. I'm not going to be shy about this. Turning this state around starts with this recall, and that gets the momentum going. And again, this state is worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Now, we also, the recall guys, they've got to have some funds to do it. And I would ask that anybody go to recallgavin2020.com, just like I do. Go and give a few bucks, $20, $50, whatever it is. But this is really important. This is our state. This is our beautiful state that has been hijacked. Let's turn it around and let's do this. Let's help Mike and Orrin with what they've started. This is an amazing, amazing movement. And thank God we've got some wonderful friends on the Democratic side who have joined. They're not seeing politics here. They are seeing their beautiful state going down the drain.
Yeah, they are.
So this is such a wonderful thing that this is bipartisan, that this is laid out as bipartisan, and so many people are joining in.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say thank you on behalf of the small business owners, because a lot of us are brick and mortar, and if we leave with nothing. And people like you staying and fighting with us, it just gives us hope, and it's because of people like you that we have a fighting chance. So I thank you for not leaving, because a lot of people are.
And Sandy, before we roll again, thank you very much. And I want to say again, as a person that's been in actually a few natural disasters in California, it's interesting again that the rich elite, like the Gavin Newsom, start talking about, climate change. And you don't give a rodent's posture about philosophical difference or reasons when you're running from 80-foot flames. And if Gavin Newsom and his damn cronies would get down to the streets and see the homelessness and see the things which go on with everyday people who face things like natural disasters, I think they may have a different tune or not. Sandy, thank you very much. Please stay in touch. God bless you for standing strong with us. For everybody out there, stay tuned. We are going to change California, and we're going to do it, as Kent said, by getting donations in. But we, as Orrin said, we stay and fight. This is our damn state. And I don't care what they say philosophically. I don't care how much money they have. It's up to us as Californians to change it. Hang on. We got more coming, because here it comes. Friday nights at the French Laundry. KABC. Stand up and fight. Stand strong. Recall Gavin2020.com.
You don't understand, we're not like other creatures. Rules do not apply to us. We are the leaders.
You know, I heard the governor speak today, and he talked about going out and personally cleaning up the trash on the side of the road. And I'm like, you know, I've toured the homeless camps up and down the state, in Tulare and Fresno and Sacramento and Burbank and Los Angeles and Venice Beach, and I've seen them. I've seen the homeless camps in front of the Los Angeles City Hall.
Wow.
And the piles and miles of trash. And, you know, the one thing that stands out glaringly is that the money they talk about devoting to the homeless problem isn't filtering to the streets. There are no porta potties. There's no sanitation centers. There's no area. There's no running water. There's no electricity. There's no dumpsters, no city dumpsters for anywhere for these folks to throw their waste away.
Right. And there's also a rodent infestation. You talk to these people and ask them where they go. Where do you go to the restroom? Yeah.
Well, they grab a bag from the local grocery store, you know, or whatever, and they put it over a 5-gallon bucket, and that's where they use the restroom and dispose of it in similar ways. Yeah. It's just unspeakable, and it's we're We're not a very compassionate society if we don't provide the basic human needs for these folks to at least have a restroom. For every 50 people, there needs to be a couple of porta potties out there at least, and then have the city come out and clean them and take the waste away. That would be a huge leap forward for these folks in their creature comforts, a trash bin and things like that. And then, we go from there.
Yeah.
But taking there's 180,000 homeless in California, and he lays claim that they put, a couple thousand into the turnkey hotels.
Sorry, Warren, we're back on.
We're going back on.
Welcome back, everybody, to our restaurant, which is really all about California. When Orrin Heatley cooked up, I joined a long time ago, has united California and really brought the people out. And if you don't believe us just by the empirical things you see, as I was saying earlier on to you this week, we used to go to some of these events, there'd be 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. It seems like where we've been in this last week, we're going, like last Friday, there were close to over 700 people paid to get in. And tomorrow, if everybody knows,
Standing room only.
at the Culver City City Hall, you can look up the address. There's a gubernatorial candidate. I'm going to be speaking. Angela's going to be speaking. That you've got to go see at 10 o'clock. You've got to get out there. Again, why I got so ticked off, if you will, at the beginning of the show, it's so easy for some of these politicians to say, hey, I'll film a segment, I'll do whatever. Orrin, you and I next week, I think I'm going to see more of you than my family, which my family does appreciate.
We're going to see more of each other than either of us care, I'm sure.
That's right. I do like your mustache, though, Orrin. And by the way, if you were seeing this live on podcast, you would see Orrin's mustache. I just wanted to bring that up. And Orrin, where are you tonight? You look like you're looking rather rustic.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I am in a 125-year-old log cabin that my grandmother bought in Santa Cruz back in the 60s, and she paid a whopping $5,000 for this shanty. But you know what? We kept it in the family, and we're glad to have it. And Prop 19, folks, is going to make it extremely hard for us to keep this in the family, because as an inheritance property, our property taxes are going to go through the roof. And we may not be able to keep it in the family much longer. But Mike, I was talking to Tim while we were on break, and I shared a story about hearing the governor talk about going out, and he was very indignant in this interview with, I believe it was ABC, maybe it was NBC, I don't know which, but fact is, he was indignant, and he said, I went out and I personally helped clean up the trash on the side of the road. He's talking about cleaning up these homeless camps. There is 180,000 homeless in California. He has done a Band-Aid approach to trying to get some of these homeless off the streets. And, they simply can't buy enough private hotels or take over enough private hotels from eminent domain and turn them into homeless encampments. And it really is not a successful program. The governor has touted that he's poured billions of dollars into the homeless problem. None of his solutions have actually ever been effective or beneficial, and the money just isn't making it down to the street. Now, while the governor's out doing his photo op and he's picking up trash and crap on the side of the road, I've literally done physical tours of homeless encampments from the Shasta County, Redding, Sacramento, down to Tulare, Fresno, Bakersfield, all the way down to Burbank and Venice Beach. And I can tell you there's some things that are glaringly missing. And there's a lot of evidence that this money is staying in their pockets and it's not making it where it needs to go. Because when in these homeless encampments, folks, there isn't even the basic of human needs. You talk to these people that are stranded and you ask them, well, there's no porta potties. Where do you use the restroom? You're
Let me ask you a
half a
question
mile
here.
away from
Or
the nearest restaurant,
here's
and
just-
the restaurants don't allow them in.
Here's a question. When everybody was being locked down in this state all year and, you have to wear a mask to just look at somebody else, et cetera, social distancing. How did all the homeless survive, or most of them survive, living on top of each other, no masks, no social distancing, no anything? I'm glad they survived,
They
but
must have the best immune systems known to man, because I'll
I
tell
think
you
it
what,
sort of
they've been-
makes you question all of the things that this empty suit and these crazies down here and these LA County Board of Supervisors, the pathetic mayor, et cetera, have been putting in place. Either that, or as somebody once told me, perhaps homelessness is the cure for COVID.
Well, I think
Mike and Eric, the message I have to the governor is put the money where your mouth has been. Put the money where your mouth is, and put it on the streets where it belongs. Get porta potties out there to these homeless camps. Get dumpsters, city dumpsters, and hire people to go out and actually service the porta potties and empty the dumpsters, and give these people some sanitation centers where they can wash their hands or maybe even clean their body. I don't know. But the fact is, they need these services just to maintain that personal hygiene, so we don't see a bunch of people get sick in the near future. I understand that typhoid has been found on fleas on mice in the Los Angeles area.
Absolutely. And Oren,
that's a problem.
And I want to bring up something here that what Oren's talking about, what most of us hear, what Angela talks about, and I want to get across something that Oren and I had an experience this week. Oren's talking about real life experience, going out. I've been out there. We've been out there and seen it. And Oren, the reason I'm bringing that up right now is because we had an interview. We had 2 interviews this week, one with a major editorial board. And it struck me as we talked to the editorial board, and this was with I'm going to say it's with the LA Times, right? Got a little bit acrimonious at time about this and that. What I felt like saying I never got the chance is, you guys don't get out much, do you? Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of this philosophical stuff sounds really, really good again in the newspaper. Oren, did you get a bit of that sense? Do they go out? I mean, 100%. The philosophical things they're talking about. Like, oh, what do you think of this? You know what? I don't see you folks out there.
Let me tell you.
Operation Room Key is a colossal failure.
Right. It sounds good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And by the time we're all done with this, every one of those hotels are going to have to be condemned, just like they did with the hotel in West Sacramento on the pilot project, where they had people come in and strip the entire hotel of every piece of valuable metal that was in the hotel, the drain pipes for all the sinks and the toilets and the copper wiring and things like that. And by the time they were done, the hotel was uninhabitable and had to be condemned.
And do you think I'm deadly serious when I say that, because that some of the people that do this reporting in California, this is not war reporting like they're getting out there in Afghanistan and Iraq. But would you think, or they would stay at some of those hotels? Would they do that experience a little bit? I want to challenge some of these people.
Yeah,
to really
have them
get to
stay at
street.
the Citizens Hotel.
Right,
That's where I
Citizens Hotel.
stayed when we were speaking. And then we had a nice 6'3" homeless person with a black ski mask and a stick that he twirled around, walking right in front of the hotel.
Yep.
And then we had another one pulling plants out and throwing them at us as we were outside the door. But
Go ahead.
And let's do this real quick.
And then didn't you get your car broken into and some valuable things?
Oh, my
stolen
car
while
was
you were there?
smashed. My windows were smashed. Lucky's bag was stolen.
Crime is on the decline in California.
I was only there and in San Francisco 24 hours, and that happened in 24 hours.
Go ahead, Kate. You're dying to say something.
I am, because, Oren, you're talking about the billions and billions and billions, and this is what's reported that has been spending. But let's break these billions down just a little tiny bit. Let's think about this for a minute. There's 180,000 homeless people here, right? Now, where these billions are going is interesting. One, these hotels, this operation, what are they, keyhole, or what do they call it, cornhole with this governor. So,
Cornhole,
Operation
Cornhole.
With this governor, you never know. But what's interesting is they're spending between $6,000 and $12,000 a month per room, and that's one resident in each room. Now, I don't know in this room how many people are paying between $6,000 and $12,000 a month for a mortgage or for your rent, but that's what they're paying for this. They're trashing hotels that they're eventually going to have to pay for.
Right.
You go to downtown, you go to any of the, well, it used to be just downtown, all the homeless areas down here, they're spending, from what I understand, Mikey, you may know this, it's over $120,000 per head.
Let me just say
to
something.
service this. But who's getting the money?
Well,
It's a bunch of these
Kent,
contractors
this
that
is
are.
Eric, let me just jump
Oh,
in
yeah.
on this second. Listen, the powers that be in this state have failed to recognize, unfortunately, a very simple fact for a long, long time. And all you got to do is walk through a couple of these homelessness encampments, which I've done many. I would venture to guess that at least 80% of these people are severely mentally ill.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And they need
And
real
these characters up in Sacramento will not admit that. You can give a key to any apartment, any hotel
That's
room,
right.
anywhere to these folks. You come back in a week, they'll be sitting there in a foot pile of what. It's a terrible situation, but we got to address severe mental illness.
That's
Yes,
right.
we
They're
do.
not doing it.
That's
The
right.
notion that you can just build housing, give them hotels or anything else going to solve it, it's not.
You know
There
what?
are solutions here, but you got to start with that realization and that admission. We're dealing with a severe mental
we're
illness
not-
problem for the most part. Not everybody, but for the most
But
part.
these people need care, and a lot of them are veterans. They're not getting care.
A lot of them are veterans, but I want to put a bit of a human face to it real quick. I don't have to go downtown. I run a business. I have one screaming at the movie theater for 5 hours, my employees in tears saying, what can we do? What can we do? The police will not take them. They will not do anything.
Yep.
I have another one who is in a wheelchair who comes for food.
There are no facilities
and
for
I
these
give
people.
him food because he's
Our
a human
prisons
being.
are the largest mental health care facilities in the state. They were not built for that. The wardens are not set up to handle that. We've got to deal with this and completely change the policy on dealing with the severely mentally ill in
Yes,
this state.
we do.
I've got lots of thoughts on that
It's called
subject.
Compassionate enforcement.
Okay, everybody out there, we're going to roll to a hard break here. This is something that should be solved, that is not solved. The reality is this. We, again, have a government, as Kylie says, that is broken. And when these things aren't fixed, your government is broken and we need to change government. It's time, everybody, let's face it, that we had a change. If you are observing what's going wrong out there, you're not observing. That would be Gavin Newsom and the rich liberal people that don't get to the street. Everybody out there, hold tight. We got 30 minutes to go, a lot to say. Are you ready? Are you standing back? Turn your volume down a bit because I'm going to go there. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry. We are KABC. We are fighting for the people of California. It's time for a change. Recall Gavin2020.com. You need to pay attention because 2 million people did.
It wasn't me. You even had the clam chowder. It wasn't me. So we got you on camera. It wasn't me.
AM 790.
Spirited debate.
Wow, that was a good little segment there. So, Courtney, what brought you along getting involved with the recall?
I have been impacted just like every single story that we hear. Everyone's lives has been turned upside down and everyone has a story. I'm a single mom. I have 4 children. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 8. And I own a business and that's how I feed my family. So like I said, from the top and the bottom, I wanted to do my part. I have, gotten diving headfirst into politics, which if you would have asked me that ever before, I would probably have laughed. But like at some point, you have to have somebody that's not afraid to stand up and ask questions and to get involved. And I'm very seriously thinking about running for 2 different seats, one in my county and one for the state assembly. And for me, it's like we can't be intimidated by the process that they've been going with for, a decade and more. We have to step up and say, hey, you know what? We're going to return this to the people. I'll ask questions and learn on the way, and I'll be honest and open and say what I don't know. And I think that We need to stop pretending that our elected officials are our leaders. You know, they're representation. So they should be meeting with us and asking us questions. We the people in the trenches. So first and
It
foremost,
sounds like you're going to bring some of that yoga philosophy of balance and restraint and control into, you know, the political realm, so to speak.
it's essential. It is essential. And to face people face to face, to look people in the eyes, to feel the body language. You can feel someone shaking in a room and discomfort. And that's where you find lies and distrust. And that's where we break these strong ties and they're very well organized. They're doing the same thing everywhere. And we people have a lot of power. We need to share that and come together. So hopefully I can be successful in doing that.
It's what our government or our country was founded upon. It's the foundation that it was built on. So you're absolutely right. And that's why this recall movement has been so successful in bringing people like you into the mix, and Tim and everybody that's listening and everybody that participated. You know, it's a movement, it's a groundswell movement. And this is why they are so afraid of it, because they feel that power slipping from their grasp. And it's just like a handful of sand. The tighter they grip it, the less they can control. And it's just slipping through their fingers, one grain at a time, one signature at a time, one vote at a time.
Yeah.
So
great analogy.
There you go. All right, Tim, what's in the news today? Anything special or anything going on? I've been kind of out of the loop.
I saw a wonderful announcement in my email from Recall Gavin 2020. Do you have a little bit more to say about that, Oren, for those that received the emails?
Yeah, it's a 44-page writ that we filed against the governor and his misleading mischaracterization of the recall movement as a Republican takeover. It's a counter strike against their falsehoods and their lies that they're telling about the recall itself. And basically laying out the case that, you know what, you can say whatever the hell you want on your commercials. We can't control that. Those are your campaign commercials. If you want to lie, you can do that.
We're back on
in 2 seconds.
California with executive chef Oren Heatley and Major Dean Mike.
Fight that, and I'll bring this back after the break.
All right.
Well, welcome back, political cuisine fans. Listen, if you are watching the live stream on Facebook, I mean, literally a lot of weeks have a couple thousand people that do, you would be treated to Orange musings during the break. I know KABC has to make a few bucks. Remember, we do pay for the show. But Oren always has, well, I think they're valuable things to say. These people look interested that I'm seeing on Facebook. But we've got a caller on hold right now that has something very valuable to say. Before we roll to the break, hold on.
After the caller, I want to hear more from Eric about what we have going on in court, because there's some people that are going to be joining us that haven't heard.
Absolutely. But tomorrow, what we have is in Culver City, something that's important because Kevin Kiley's going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's right near the station we are today. Shannon, tell us about what's happening tomorrow, when it's happening, how people can get there.
Yeah, so we're going to have a rally in Culver City in the City Hall, their courtyard area. And Kevin Kiley is going to be giving an amazing speech. He's going to be talking about all the wonderful things he wants to help all of us Californians gain our freedom back. He's going to be obviously there with you. You're going to be Major D'ing it. And there's going to be a parking garage that everybody can park at in the City Hall. It's going to be a really awesome event. It's going to start at 10 a.m. and it's go probably till about like 11:15 a.m. So it'll be, rather fast in that sense, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. Angela's going to be there too. And I believe the Culver City Hall, for everybody out there, is 9770 Culver Boulevard in Culver City. 9770 Culver Boulevard in Culver City. Again, I am there as a private citizen, not as a member of a political PAC. But it's important that you get out, like we're talking about Wednesday, and we're going to get back to the court case in 1 second, to hear what candidates have to say.
Yeah.
This is
Do your homework.
important decision you're making here. Not an important decision if you're voting yes, because you're voting yes. But every other, you're picking the next governor of California. Shannon, thank you very much. Well, you're not going to be there tomorrow, correct?
No, I'm not, but I'll be at the other rallies.
All right. We'll be seeing you and talking to you soon. Thank you for the work that you do. People that don't know out there, it's hard to set them up. That's 10 a.m. tomorrow. Be there. 9770 Culver Boulevard, Culver City, California. All we're asking you to do is get out there, participate, and listen. Angela's going to be speaking. I'm, of course, going to be speaking about the recall and what to do. A gubernatorial candidate's going to be speaking. Get out there and participate. And Orrin, let's go back to another event that's taking place on Wednesday. We're going to court. Eric, that's your cue. Let's try this again. Let's go back to another event we're doing Wednesday. We're going to court.
Well, Mike, I love you, but as the listeners know, you just said, Orrin, let's talk about what we're doing on Wednesday.
I know.
Well, then Orrin, and my name is not Orrin.
Muted, so.
Okay, so but Mike, that was
Nobody was picking
bro.
up my cue.
Mike, I'm not giving you any inch, man.
Don't give him any quarter.
I'm not giving him any quarter, just like we're not giving the empty suit any quarter up there. It's a tough crowd. And
Tough room.
So let's talk
I
about.
got my butcher knife ready.
Let's talk about what we have going in court. So, we had that great victory a couple of weeks ago where we got into court there and we were victorious and we prevented Newsom from putting a D or the word Democrat next to his name on the ballot. And even though everybody listening knows Newsom's a Democrat, we're told even from Democrat experts out there that there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, 100,000 people in the state don't know Newsom's a Democrat. And if they saw a D next to his name, they'd automatically vote for him. So that was
I
a big.
wouldn't object at all if they wanted to put a L next to his name.
Exactly. So there you go.
Okay.
So that was
He
a
was
big
being
blow to
nice.
Newsom. So what we're going to court for now, we just filed a new action today, and we will be in court arguing it this Wednesday up in Sacramento, is that every voter will get a voter information guide mailed to them from the Secretary of State's office. And in that voter information guide, Newsom is able to put his statement in there as to why the recall should be defeated. And Orrin has a statement in there as to why Newsom should be recalled. You have to have permission from the Secretary of State's office to do it. That's a huge honor for Orrin. But these statements cannot be like Newsom's completely BS TV commercials that we're now seeing running everywhere, where they're basically equating those people who supported this recall as being the equivalent of the people that stormed the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Newsom has to tell the truth.
Lie.
Total lies. Newsom has to tell the truth in a voter information guide because the voter information guide language is controlled by certain legal statutes. And yet, the statement he submitted to be in that guide is the equivalent of those complete BS commercials. So we have filed an action against him to go up there and make him follow the law yet again and make that language in his statement be totally changed and take out all this garbage about how it's a Republican recall of only Trump supporters, people the equivalent of those who he doesn't say this exactly, but this is what he's insinuating, that stormed the Capitol. And we have this thing supported by sworn statements under oath by all kinds of non-Republicans, which we've submitted to court.
Let's talk about that.
And, yes, and I'll let you go into that more in a second, Orrin,
Okay.
but these people are lifelong Democrats who are saying they are supporting this recall. So go ahead, Orrin.
Yeah, one of the people that that gave us a sworn statement is actually, she's from San Francisco, and she will be, I believe, running against Nancy Pelosi in the coming election and in San Francisco. Bianca Von Craig. She's a transgender actress and a self-professed, I believe, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but socialist Democrat, voted for Bernie Sanders, voted for Gavin Newsom, and wants nothing more than to have this governor recalled. But, you know, she's not alone. We have, you know, a handful of other people that have given sworn statements to the same effect, and very glad to have their support to help us make our case, because we're, you know, we have to show that this is not a Republican takeover. Not only that, we have a sworn statement from, you know, somebody that had been integral, helped us with the whole process of taking the signatures in and verifying the signatures. And they did, you know, some investigation as to who the people were that were signing the recall. And that showed they had over 20% of the people that signed the recall were registered Democrats.
Yep. So bottom line is, we are going to hold his feet to the fire yet again. This guy, Newsom, seems to think he's above the law. He does not have to follow the law. We got it. We made him. We got a court order to make him follow the law 2 weeks ago. And we're going to do our best on Wednesday to get another court order to make this empty suit, this arrogant punk, Newsom, follow the law yet again and not fill a voter information guide paid for by the taxpayers to fill with Newsom's lies.
And let me tell you guys something. We're here with some great Americans here in this room.
Yes, he did,
Yep.
Warren, correct.
And we're here with great Americans, Orrin and Mike, taking this thing on. And I will tell you, if there was a Republican sitting in office and you had what's going on in this state, the homelessness, the crime, the insane cost of living, Mike and Orrin, I don't care if it's a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Martian, whatever, they would be right here taking it on. This is not a Republican,
No,
Democrat
it's
thing.
not.
This is about the greatest state in the union being taken down the toilet. And Mike and Orrin, I know you'd be here if it was a Republican. You love this state. We all love this state.
Yeah, let me tell you something here before we again roll to our final segment. Look, I'm really tired of the damn lies that our government is putting out. Okay. And again, you're correct. I don't care if you're right or left, it's gotten too big.
Yep.
I'm tired of the fact that the LA Times barely covers that Secretary of State spies on us through Facebook and Twitter, the big entities. It's barely reported. I'm really tired of the fact that Newsom thinks he can go to court and get his way, that Elizabeth Warren and other people can out and out just lie, and no one will challenge him. And Orrin, bless you for leading us on this journey, and everybody out there for going together. We're going to roll to our final segment, but for everybody out there, understand it's taken a long time to get us this far, and we're going to get to the finish line, and nothing's going to stop us because we do love California. We love it so much that we come here each week to let us be the voice of the people, and it goes like this. Ready? Friday nights at the French Laundry, we are RecallGavin2020.com. Please go to our website. Keep us on the air. Donate. It's time. It's time, California, to take your state back. KABC 790.
You don't understand, we're not like other creatures. Rules do not apply to us, we are the leaders. Voters can't be trusted to be indoor eaters. They are more contagious after all, they're mouth breathers. Just tell them.
All right, we're rolling into the last segment. Where did I leave off? Did I cover the rest during the actual radio
well,
segment?
you said
Because
2 more seconds and I couldn't give that to you, buddy. Sorry. That music rolls. That means we got to roll too, unfortunately.
No seconds for you.
No seconds for you in the kitchen.
Oh my God. I don't know if anybody got my crack about no office for you to the governor. But,
I heard that. That was great. I'm back here laughing off of camera and microphone. So a buddy of mine sent me an article from KBC, and it was updated July 28th. And the title of that article is ABC 10 sues to release messages between Newsom staff and PG&E regulators.
ooh, that's a good one. We should be we need to talk about that in the last segment.
Well, it's a video, so I'm not going to play it back right now because it will disrupt our radio show, unfortunately.
And I remember it. So ABC 10.
Yes.
I wish
don't
I had a
worry.
pen.
I have it bookmarked, so don't worry. Actually, I will put it into the chat because I see people saying, oh. So let me plug that into the chat. And let me
ABC 10. And I'll tell you what, the Brandon who's the author of that report, is a badass.
Oh, wow.
He cornered Gavin Newsom, and he's like, "Hey,
oh,
what about taking money from a felon?
Yes,
Gavin, are you going to keep that money or give it back? What are you going to do with that $250,000 and you took from a convicted felon?"
Yeah, in fact, that video is about a year old, isn't it?
So,
or a little over a year old.
He's done a couple. It's the title of the report you're talking about is Firepower and Money.
Yes,
I believe. Is it not? Firepower, Money.
I believe it is. I just put it in the chat.
See, I just pulled that off the top of my hat because I pay attention.
We're back on.
Okay, we're rolling back into our final seating of the night, if you will, at Friday nights at the French Laundry. And we're going to do, kind of call it the fast food of politics right now. We are going to whip through a few different subjects because we have a lot to tell you.
We're going to whip through it real quick, Mike, and I have a short order coming up here real quick. And I just want to cover something before it slips my mind or it goes bad, okay? There was an article that just came out, Brandon from ABC 10, Brandon
ABC.
From ABC 10 just did an article. I believe the title of the article is Firepower and Money, and where he lays out the case of Gavin Newsom taking money from ex-felon PG&E. And we all know the corruption that lies beneath.
Absolutely. Eric, tell us more about, I want Eric to.
All right. So just remember, the law in the state of California says these voter information guides cannot contain false and misleading statements. Let me read you the first 3 lines of this statement. It goes on and on from there that Newsom submitted. These are direct quotes. The recall is an attempt by national Republicans and Trump supporters to force an election and power grab in California. Meanwhile, we know factually that approximately at least 20% are not even Republicans. Then he says, vote no on the recall of Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom to stop the Republican takeover of our state. Everybody is just following the Constitution of California here. Nothing nefarious going on. The recall's leading supporters are the same national Republicans who fought to overturn the presidential election and launched efforts to undermine the right to vote across the country. This is the garbage that this guy has put in the voter information guide. It's totally false.
Go ahead. Did you do that, Mike? Did you try to overturn the vote and stop the vote?
And by just they are abusing our recall laws in order to gain power. Abusing recall laws. This is right in the Constitution that this empty suit swore to protect and defend.
I want to go to that first line. I want to go to the first line with that. There has not been, to my knowledge, there has not been any major Republican organization donating money to none. And I mean none. And by the way, they should. There's a lot of big organizations that should be giving. It's been a bunch of people, 22,000 of your volunteers, and over 2 million great Californians, Republican and Democrat and independent. That's who it is. And if you think there's been a big RNC, a Republican organization, dumping money into this thing, you are wrong. That is absolutely false. Eric, thank you for filing this suit.
Yep, exactly. And that's sad. Listen, I want to roll to a couple callers here. Marshall, you want to know where to get door hangers?
Weeks ago, I was the one that built the. Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, I was the one that talked to you a couple weeks ago. I had mentioned about getting the thing put up on the Pantages, marquee, and then you told me to email you about getting door hangers or posters and like that. And I asked the screener for the email address, and he didn't have it.
Okay,
I tried looking it up.
It's info@recallgavin2020.com. Sorry about that. I'm glad you called back in. Go to our website, email us, tag it Mike Netter, and I will make sure you get some for that theater. Thank you, my friend, for following up on that.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. Okay. info@recallgavin2020.com. Doug from Woodland Hills, you want to know where the anti-recall ads are put out by the group or GAP? Talk to me, Doug. You got about a minute.
Okay. Well, what I just wanted to say, I'm an independent who signed a recall petition.
Yeah, God, exactly.
I'm an independent.
Okay, I admire you guys for getting the recall approved. However, I do not understand why the National Republican Party and the State Republican Party have just completely dropped the ball. There needs to be negative ads about Gavin Newsom that are
Amen.
not tied to specific candidates.
Yep.
He has to be linked to Gascon. He has to be linked to economic waste. He has to be linked to hypocrisy.
This
And
gentleman
it's not
should be
happening.
writing the commercial.
Yeah, you're out, Doug. You
Right, but I just want to say, Meghan Trainor should not be the chief strategist of the Republican Party. It is not all about the base. You need a consensus, and that's going to need big time ads focused on Newsom, not focused on candidates.
Absolutely. And that is exactly, to be blunt on the air, what Kent was talking about. It's, Doug, you're an independent. I've got a couple independents on the air with me, okay? We, the people, have had to do this because both parties, I said this to the LA Times, both parties are failing California, my friend.
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
So anyway,
We have limited
you
funds.
guys.
The problem is what Doug is talking about costs a fortune, and the only side that's getting tens of millions of dollars is the empty suit from these Reed Hastings and all of these the Silicon Valley types, and nobody, to our knowledge, is dropping those tens of millions of dollars into. I mean, they're definitely not coming to recall Gavin 2020, and who knows where the money's going, but it should be coming out of D.C. It should be coming and the state party. These guys are getting nothing.
Doug, thank you very much. Bless you, man. We got to keep rolling here. That is a great, fantastic point. Thank you for making it on the air. Listen, I want to go ahead and give everybody, Angela, you go first. It's the end of the night. You've got about a minute and a half. Thank you for what you've done for us tonight. Tell us.
Hey,
Tell us
guys.
in a minute what you want to say.
So everybody out there listening, I appreciate you guys with this bill that we're trying to get pushed through. Please call your local congressman or who represents your area and ask them to sign this bill. I will put the names of the politicians who were originally on the bill that have not stepped up and signed on my Instagram, which will be at Pineapple Hill Saloon, or on my Facebook at PH Saloon. Please put pressure on them so that we can fund. I got the revitalization grant. This is not about me. This is about the fellow restaurant owners for across the country, which means a lot. And I know it's another episode, and there was a caller, Bob from Northridge, that we couldn't get to you, and you waited patiently. Yes, there's a lot of bars and restaurants mandating vaccines. I want everybody to know at the Pineapple Hill Grill and Saloon, I spent almost $20,000 on an FDA-approved ionizer system that actually kills COVID mid-air 99.99% of the time, so that I didn't have to discriminate and everybody could feel very safe in my space. And there are solutions for another show.
Right. Pineapple Grill.
Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill in Sherman Oaks.
I want to keep rolling. Hold on, Eric. Your time will come, my man. All right. We got a lot of people moving their way out. Pineapple Grill and Saloon. I'm at Netter Mike on Twitter. Angela's going to forward that information. Kent, you got 60 seconds, my brother.
Speaking of vaccinations, I mean, I was relieved to be in this room, and I feel safe in this room because Mike Netter showed me his proof of rabies shot. So I felt like I was safe coming in this room. Guy's a wild man, foaming at the mouth, and I love him. Listen, this is a massive, massive undertaking. I started a great business here. I've had 3 amazing businesses here in California, starting in the 1990s. And I'm watching this thing go down the tubes. And what Mike and Orrin have done, and Eric and everybody who's jumped on board this thing to make it a reality, all 22,000 volunteers, all 2 million people who signed it, this thing they estimated would cost $50 million just to get it on the ballot. These guys did it for next to nothing. This is a huge movement, but it is going to take some more money. Mike never asked for it, but I'm going to say, I go to recallgavin2020.com and give, and we do need to give. That's what keeps this thing moving. And by the way, this thing is there's a momentum going.
Yeah.
The shift is in our favor now, which is amazing. Keep it up. Mike and Orrin, thank you. Eric, also big hats off to you for filing that suit.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Let me
Orrin,
just
you're
jump
gonna
in
have
here.
1 minute next.
Listen.
Go ahead, Eric. You're next.
It's nighttime in California. There's people, you can hear it just from the callers, people listening to this show up and down the state, from my friends up in Siskiyou County all the way to San Diego, from the east to the west. And Orrin and Mike started a movement that have given millions of people hope. We heard from Flora up there, who'd never been in politics before. We heard from Sandy in Chester. She said, I want my California back. And don't leave this state, folks. We're going to get this state back. It is coming back. The people, this is a we the people movement and a we the people moment. And Gavin Newsom is freaking out because of what is going on here. And let me just say one other thing. I firmly believe that but for this recall election right now, that arrogant tyrant would have locked down our state again right now because of what's going on. But he is holding back, and it's only because he is freaking about how that's going to affect
We would
the
have been
recall.
lined up like cattle.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's another reason why we got to get him out, because
Orm,
he'll do it right
before
after
the music
14.
plays, give us 60 seconds here before my final blast.
I do want to say that, you know, there's a lot of people that are really afraid of this governor, and they're rightfully so. This governor has come out and openly said that he's going to enforce mandatory vaccines on all state employees. And folks, don't think that you're not next in line. He's going to go to them, and then it's going to be from them to the next, to the next, to the next, until it's you that they line up like cattle to get your vaccine. And I am not saying that I'm pro or against vaccines, but I am absolutely 100% unequivocally against government overreach and coming into our homes and telling us what the hell to do with our own bodies. It's my body, my choice, and I refuse to be told what to do by this governor. And I just want to give Angela's name of her store and website one more time. Angela, your turn. Give it out again because
Thank you,
Mike
Orrin.
misnamed it.
Okay, it's PH Saloon on Facebook and Pineapple Hill Saloon on Instagram and PH Saloon on Twitter. We're more active on Facebook and Instagram, though.
And Pineapple Hill Saloon is located where?
Sherman Oaks, California, 4454 Van Nuys Boulevard.
And for everybody out
Thank you,
there,
Orrin.
as we roll to the end, thank you. What Orrin said is absolutely true. It's time, California, for everybody that comes to us as we travel throughout the state. I travel with Eric, I travel with Orrin. Stop. Stop living in fear. Stop being afraid to speak up. Stop worrying about what your own government is doing to you. And government, Elizabeth Warren, as I started the show, and Gavin Newsom, you better stop the damn lies, because we the people are coming after you.
Amen.
We the people are standing up to take our state back. And everyone out there, remember, it's a coming. It's a coming. You have to vote yes. You have to participate, because this democracy that we call California only functions when you play. And no matter what they say, we will prevail. Thank you, everybody. It's time. It's your state. You
This
take
show
it.
is sponsored by the official Recall Committee, California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prov 39 LLC, DGB Ranch.
Well, I didn't cut Mike off. It wasn't me.
Oh no, he got himself cut off.
Wow. So definitely a big thanks for all of those that participated tonight. Courtney, much appreciation.
Thank you so much.
Off the cuff and from the heart.
Yes, definitely. And it was really good to hear Sandy's story earlier. And yeah, we all have a lot of similar stories up and down the state. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why I got involved. AB 5 was one of the things that was, you know, hurting the state really bad.
And healthcare workers and care providers and things like that. Absolutely. 100%. All right, folks, I'm going to sign out. God bless everybody. Have a good night. God bless America. And let's take our state back.
Yes. Recallgavin2020.com. Donate today.